Okay, I'm in the shop working on gnarly wraps now. And so I take these individual ones, I triage it. I take the worst risk first in case I run out of wrap. But here's one thing I wanted to show you. See this little bitty, looks like a rubber line. It's actually an electrical line. So that I'm gonna wrap with that hydraulic hose right there and cover as much of that as I can, because that's an easy one to rip off. So I'm going to try and get that all the way covered up to just give it a little more strength from getting in the brush and tangles and stuff. And the fan is doing really good. Can you feel it? It's not quite cold there, but it's cool compared to outside. Okay, so another thing you could do, you got your gnarly wrap, but you got loose hoses like this. You take and tuck that in, and you zip tie it to this cylinder right here. So that keeps it nice and firm out of the way. All of these here you zip tie in as much as you can so that they're secured in here. And so this area out here is much more open, much less prone to snagging junk. All right, so the next thing I'm doing is that same electrical line from the front third function. You see how it's kind of just dangling here? It's tucked in a little bit, and then it goes up here, and here it is right here. So I'm going to cover it up here. I'm going to snug it all the way around, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie it to the inside of this steel frame here, so it's much more protected than just that dangling down there. Alright, so now I got this little electrical line. It's all covered with gnarly wrap. Now I'm going to tie it in all the way down, tuck it in, and it'll be much more protected from a future tear. Nice. Alright, now it's all tucked in. You see it's protected there, tied all the way down with 2 or 3 heavier duty zip ties. Comes on the inside, and it's got 2 or 3 zip ties there, and you could barely see it there. So now it's well protected and it's not dangling anymore. Dangling stuff is B-A-D, bad. All right, next thing is this main bundle. The factory does an okay job with this sleeve on here, but what I'm going to do is, this is not a Velcro sleeve, it's basically permanent. So I'm going to slide that up, and on these 2 outside lines I'm going to add some more gnarly grip, slide that back down, and at least you're going to protect the outside ones. And the same down here. I'm going to add, even though I really like they got hard protectors down here, I may add one to that, but for sure these right here, this is a danger zone. I'm going to cover these up. I might have to steal one from Megatron because I got a couple of bigger wraps for that one. Which, by the way, a real quick thing, on most tractors, this is the main hydraulic block. That switch, well, it's not a switch, it's basically a bolt. That's how you can reduce or increase your hydraulic pressure. You didn't hear that from me, but if you feel like you should be able to lift more, or it maxes out too soon, that's it right there. Just saying. Okay, you got my 2 wraps on. I slid this permanent one over the top. You got a nice overlap. In the Marine Corps, this would be called interlocking fields of fire. You know, where they overlap together and they interlock. How's that for a blast from the past? Literally. Okay, this last bottom piece I had to jury rig. I cut 3 different pieces of that and kind of Velcro them together. So this is basically just a wrap. I couldn't get it to where the Velcro was holding, so that's why I got a half a dozen heavier duty zip ties on here. So I think I'm done. I don't think I'm gonna mess with these. I mean, they got a really nice hard plastic on them. And I think on the last year's one there was a gap right here, which was why I went ahead and covered that. But I think I'm going to leave that be under there. Watch, that's the one I break in time. But I like the way they did that. I mean, that's I guess it's about time somebody did that for a tractor manufacturer. Alright, my back just kind of went out, so I might have to freaking call it in early, but let me show you my fabricating idea. This is going to be welded on like this, okay? So basically what I need from here is another 2 to 3 inches that's going to lower the toolbox, because if you remember on the last one, the window was in the way a little bit. So I'm going to lower it 2 to 3 inches. I'm going to weld this bracket on and remount it up there. And otherwise it'll be close to the same. I might have to fabricate something on the ends, but this should work. But I don't know that I'm going to weld anymore. Like I said, gnarly wraps was about it. So I feel good about getting that done. We'll see if I weld or not. Alright, so here's an update on my beans. It's kind of sad. I might have to put on the 2-row planter and replant. I got some more beans, but take a look here. I mean, so you got bean, blank, bean, blank, bean, blank, bean, blank. So it's really sporadic. Disappointing. It's hard to say if it's that junky 4-row planter that I bent a little, or the torrential rains, or could it be both? The problem with the torrential rains is, and the 4-row planter, is you see these gouges right here. Okay, the planter don't work properly, so it leaves 2 gouges. The other 2 plant pretty good. But in them gouges is where all that water sits, where your beans are. And if it sits in there for too long, it could destroy the bean. You know, normally it just makes a little slit. Like these other 2 rows you could see here, they planted much better. I mean, it's hard for me to tell. I mean, there's quite a few beans here. I guess I'll have to wait a little bit longer. I might have to hit these fields one more time. So a little bit disappointing. And the corn, I'll show you some corn here in a minute. That's kind of nothing too exciting yet either. Here's some corn. It's looking pretty weak. I mean, you can't even tell that it's been sprayed with all the weeds in here. I mean, wow, I'm gonna have to put that 30-foot boom on again and hit these again. I mean, you know, they're weak. They should be triple the size right now. But maybe some of that urea kicked in, but this is just way too much competition, man. All these weeds are just sucking up all the nutrients. So I don't know. I mean, I might have corn, maybe. Depends how hard the deer hit it when it does come up. I mean, you see they're already hitting it. There. That ain't gonna hurt it though. What hurts it is when it tassels and they devour it. That's when they kill it. I mean, here's a look at an area that's a little more dirt where you could see the beans. We got pretty good beans going here. You got some blank spots, and you got some going there. But I still have to be patient because the size of some of these beans, look at that. That's only a few days old. That one there is really only a few days old. I mean, I don't know. They still may come on a little more. Probably spray them once more and then give it another couple weeks and see what happens. It's getting almost too late for a replant of soybeans. I think the beans mature by daylight hours, if I remember correctly. Boy, yeah, I mean, there's a nice little row right here. See what it looks like. One more spot. Well, there's some corn in an area that I spot sprayed a little, but it's still struggling. And then, it's so close. There's beans that if there might be enough. if they grow to, you know, full-size plants, 3 foot tall, that it might work, but I'm just not seeing that many. It's just sporadic everywhere that I planted. I mean, I could see beans in the row there, just small ones, but they're there. All right, well, we'll give it a few weeks, hit it once more with spray. That's the best we can do right now, and then I might replant a few spots in between.